So as we're looking to this word, a lot of people are going to believe and have this mentality that, look, I've been going months without my pastor and everything seems fine with me. So you're going to have some people who are going to feel they don't have to go back to church. Others are dealing with a lot of abuse within their homes, between spouses, between brothers, between sisters, between relatives. A lot of abuse. And these were, before the coronavirus, were times, and there will continue to be times, where people, the saints, the sheep, need counseling. So what do we do in this time? Right? So that leads me to speak about how Jesus is that true shepherd. And it says in John chapter 10, verse 7 through 15, about the love that Jesus has for his sheep. But there's a lot of people, and again, you all may say, well, this is speaking about Jesus, but follow me here. We are shepherds. We are placed in a position as leaders to lead the sheep to God. And I understand if it were easy for everyone to just pick up the Bible and read, then everyone would do it. But we do need a level of conviction. We do need a third party, a third eye, someone who's in the background who could see things from a different angle. We do need people who are more spiritually inclined in order to help those saints, sheep, in need. But that being said, when you have a lot of disputes happening within homes, especially now where you're having the wife as well as the husband, as well as the children home, there's no outlet, right? You can't run to your jobs. You can't go that 8 hours. For some of you, you may complain about 8 hours. Other of you, that's the happiest time within your marriage. And not only for the marriage, but also for the children that are also within the family. So we have to look at it in this light. What are the leaders doing for the saints other than entertaining them? We're not considering what the role of the leaders are to be. A good word is a good word. There's a lot of good preachers out there, but there's not a lot of good leaders. For even the word of God tells us, many are called, but few are chosen. And even in Jeremiah's time, he had to face the fact that, look, if I can't deal with these people, how am I going to deal with the greater challenges of life? So, in conclusion, are you under the leadership of someone who is a good preacher? Or do you have someone that is also a good leader? Someone you could call. Someone that will visit your home, that's not afraid to visit your home. Remember the Old Testament, where Aaron was told, if there is a sickness, a disease, it was up to them to go into that house and pray for all those who were laden in sickness, even touching the very vessels. So God knew about viruses before this whole thing broke out. He knew about how it could contaminate even the surfaces of our furniture, of our homes, and how it could even consume us. But that's why the word was in place. So that in those cases, we have an advocate. Right? We have someone that is there to fight for us. And those are the leaders. But if you find that you cannot call your pastor, your leader, your friend, your bishop, then there is obviously a problem. Because now there's a lot of people who are hurting. A lot of people who don't have the answer to their problems. Who do they go to? What do they turn to? And that's what I'm talking about. That's why people right now, this day and age, this specific day and time, is left to their own devices. So we need that consistent pressure to be placed on us in order to change. We're not here to have peace as leaders. We're here to work. Work is not always going to be fun, leaders. Work is not always going to be enjoyable, leaders. And oftentimes you're not going to feel as though you're being appreciated, leaders. But it's the work that was committed to in our hands to do. So regardless of how we feel, we continue to run the race. Not forgetting about our own households as well, but also the saints. Do you have a hireling or do you have a shepherd? Because in this time of vulnerability, Satan is going to come seeking who he can devour. And he's going to come in many different forms. We're left right now, the multitude of the saints are watching worldly shows because that's what's more publicized. Who is going to fight the fight? Look, there's a right way to do things, a wrong thing to do things. All I want you guys to understand is, what voice are you listening to? This is not about government. Government is advising. If they don't do their job to advise the public about what's in their best interest to do, then they're not doing their job. It's up to us, though, as saints, sons, daughters of God, to make a decision. Do we continue in sin that grace may abound? Or do we walk the walk that God has told us to walk? And whether we live, whether we die, we know where we're going because we followed the faith. Follow the voice of God and ensure that it's His voice and not the voice of fear. Fear will run havoc in your lives. It doesn't care about how long you serve God. It's no respect to a person. It's just there, but I will remind you that in God's love, there is no fear. So regardless of the times, regardless of what you're hearing, regardless of what you're seeing with everyone masked and gloved, look, if you want to go to church with a mask and a glove, go on. That's your level of faith, and there's nothing wrong with that. Are you going to go to church? Right? And for a lot of you preachers and teachers who used to say, well, I don't care about how you come to church, just come, right? God doesn't look at your garments. Run your hearts, not your garments. So if you want to wear gloves, if you want to wear a mask, come to church. If you want to, pastors, leaders, especially those who are mega churches, and the reason why I say that is because they're more financially stable or sound to make a decision like what I'm about to mention. If you want to hold a few services throughout the week for your saints, then that's great. If you want to go ahead and maybe do something online as an additional benefit to the saints, that's fine. But just don't forget about the council. Don't forget to call your saints. Don't forget to visit your saints. We're in a time where we see teachers visiting students. So, pastors, please visit your saints. This is an opportune time to do that because you're not laden with all the workload that you are accustomed to. Take this time to take the next step in the ministry and really touch the saints. Really speak to the saints. Really get to know the saints on a different level. Because everyone acts a little bit different when they're in front of a church or a congregation or in front of a pastor. But when you visit them in their environment, in their homes, that's when the leaders begin to see the real underlying problems or benefits in a household. So consider these words, saints. It really comes from a good place. This is spiritually led. And I just hope that I'm not trying to bring down your faith and say that you don't have faith. I'm not trying to question your faith. I'm not trying to put down your faith. All I'm trying to say is listen to God. And if there's one word, as you're going back and forth, this is kind of how it works within the flesh and the spirit. Because the flesh reads the word, right? You're in the flesh. So the flesh understands the word. You place in your heart. The heart is fleshly. It's understanding the word to a certain level to where it could also make its own interpretations. So be wise in how you're reasoning, because you have to be careful who you're reasoning with. And be careful when your rationale equates to the same rationale as someone who doesn't know God, hasn't tasted of his goodness, hasn't come to his light. Be careful. God bless.